Hi, and welcome. Thanks for joining us for another episode today. This is going to be great. I'm really excited to share these 7 tips with you about things you can just start with immediately, like right after you listen to this episode, to start making these small baby shifts. And I am such a big believer in all of the small baby steps because I have seen how incredibly powerful these small baby steps are and how essential they are to moving you to the next level. It's not about the big leaps and bounds that you're thinking. It's not like, well, we've been in feeding therapy a month and now they're eating 12 new foods. That is unlikely to happen. So these small shifts over time will lead to this big snowball that eventually, yes, you will get to the point where it's like, oh, now we picked up this food. Now we picked up this food. Now we picked up this food. But that's not how it starts. It really does start with the small baby steps. So let's dive right in. You don't need to, and I don't want to say overhaul. You don't necessarily need to change everything that you're doing. You can start with really tiny things. But you do have to change something about what you're doing because if it was working, what you were doing, you would see results, but you haven't, which is why you're here. So something you're doing must need to be altered in some way, shape, or form, right? Hopefully we can agree on that. Okay, so I'm going to tell you the first shift. Let's swap some of the words that we're using. Like, we're not going to say like, "Ooh, this is yummy. Oh, that's yucky," or "this is good and this is bad." We're going to shift how we're talking about that because language matters a lot when it comes to eating, okay? Especially with kids. It really does matter. So we're always talking about how we're learning about a new food. Think explorer, scientist, okay? You're always curious about things with food. So they don't have to be like a good or bad thing. It's not like, oh, well, he thinks that wet foods are yucky or bad. Like, or he might say, or she might say, I hate this food or I don't like this food. Let's shift that to we're learning about it. We're curious about this. Small shifts in language definitely affect how we perceive foods, how we approach foods, not right away, but over time. Okay. Number 2, no more one more bite bargaining. Please, no more one more bite. And then you can have this, or take a no thank you bite. I've heard that a lot. Pressure triggers fear and resistance in most cases. Of course, I always stand to be corrected. So it's not, I guess, in every single case. I'd say in 98, 95% of the time, it can trigger fear and resistance. It really kind of depends on your child. If they're a curious child, saying, why don't you try a bite? Is probably not going to trigger fear and resistance, right? So you have to know your child's level. If you have a fearful child, a stuck child, saying, you have to take one more bite, try one more bite, try one bite, just try one bite. It's really easy. Just try one bite. That usually will trigger resistance and fear about that food. So if you don't know what level your child is at, go to the pickyeaterstest.com. This will take you to our quiz where you can find out exactly what level your child is on, and then you will know. And it will also give you some subsequent, like a follow-up of what steps you should take next. So if you don't know, please go to the website, find out what level your child is at, and then you'll know about, can I say one more bite? Is that bad? Is that good? A lot of people just don't know when it's appropriate, when it's not. It's not like it's the worst thing in the world to say, why don't you try a bite? It's really not. But the child has to be in a certain headspace to be able to accept that and not have it trigger fear and resistance. A fearful, anxious child, a stuck child, that for them, that word will trigger that emotional response. I hope that makes sense. So shift in these kids, right? Shift from bribing and negotiating to just inviting them to be curious. Like, you can explore it today, or you can just look at it today. Or what can we make out of it, right? Invite them to think about food in a way that doesn't mean that they have to put it to their face and eat it, essentially, right? All right, number 3, offer a learning plate. No pressure learning plate. So you can just put a tiny amount of one little tiny piece of food or a crumb of food alongside safe foods. Okay. Just the presence of it being there is sometimes a win. Just tolerating it on the plate sometimes is a win. But you got to know exactly when to do this. If your child in the past has had a complete meltdown because of that one tiny speck being on the plate, that lack of control, maybe we got to start a little bit beyond that. So maybe it's going to start on the table or on the table close to them, maybe in a different bowl next to the bowl that they're eating from, things like that. Okay. But ideally, and what we're moving towards is that, yes, you can offer, like a small amount of a new food, non-preferred food, just alongside their other foods that they are eating. So there's no rules about what they have to do with it. There's no expectations about what they're supposed to be doing. It's just present. It's just there. Okay. It exposure without the pressure is going to rewire their fear response. It's no longer is that food now a threat, something I have to engage with, something I have to do. It's just there. And I can tolerate it being there is a step in the right direction. I do promise that. All right. 4, non-eating food exposure. So this would be things like playing with food, doing art, reading stories about food, which we actually have a great resource for on our website about all different books that are you can use to talk about food at all different levels, like of your like child development levels, like for what age they are. They could go all the way up to teens. Could be games that are involving food, not even sometimes real food. Sometimes there's like games that target food, like there's a Yeti in my spaghetti, or, like I have a whole list of games and stuff again on our website. You can look it up. It's one of the blog posts, but again, you can do things like touching, painting with food, pretending with food. And that all counts as food exposure. Absolutely. And then sometimes it's the best kind of food exposure because it feels very safe because kids know there is no expectation to be eating it. Right. So the brain is going to need a lot of safe experiences to undo the negative ones, right, before they can move forward with a lot of those foods. So yeah, what we talked about? We talked about games, art, stories, play. Oh, and you could also do food prep is a great one to include on this as well. So when you're prepping food for others to eat, you're usually not eating it. So we talk about food prep and meal prep a lot as having kids help with that it could be very beneficial to having them drop their guard, feel more comfortable around food. That is for sure a step. Again, don't expect them to start tasting foods during meal prep the first time you do it, even the first few weeks that you do it. But over time, they will get more comfortable with food and feel safer bringing it to their mouth, smelling it, tasting it, things like that. Number 5, let kids serve themselves if you can. Builds that ownership. Give them kid friendly tongs and spatulas, have them pour. Even you would be surprised, but really small toddlers, even as young as 1.5, 2 year olds, can help with this a bit. Not saying unsupervised, might need a little assistance, but they can learn to start to serve themselves. Absolutely. This ownership creates that sense of control that we talk about. That's so important. Very essential for our fearful eaters. Okay, numbers. Wait, no, was that 4, 5? Let's see. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. No, that was 4. Okay, this is 5. Okay. Make it a story, not a chore. So don't rush through, don't do the power struggle. Um, talk about food like maybe more where it came from, or be curious about it. Sometimes you can play dumb, like, oh, I wonder where this carrot came from. Like, do you think it grew from a tree or in the ground? Maybe we should look it up. I'm not sure. Do you know anything about that? Or you could, just play pretend, like, let's pretend the peas are little marbles in the castle that we have, or, there's I actually have another resource for that. I have 101 ways to make food fun. And there's also like a bonus little guide there about how, different like ways you could change how you talk about some of the foods, depending on like their developmental stage. So that's available on our website too under books, and it's a really inexpensive download. It's like $7, and it gives you different strategies and ideas for all different levels of food. So if they're just touching it, or they're licking it, or they're just looking at it, there's games and things that you can play out of real foods. Okay. So yeah, make it like fun, make it into a story, make it into a game. Don't make it something they have to do, right? Because when you ever feel like you have to do something, you instantly put up some resistance to it, which we don't want. We're trying to break down that resistance, right? Okay. Let's see. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Maybe that was 6. I don't know why I cannot keep track of the number of these. All right, this is the last one. Focus on connection first, nutrition second. Now, I'm super big on the nutrition piece. It's a passion of mine. When you get your roadmap from us, we have a complete breakdown of all of the nutrition that they are getting, what's lacking, and then the resource of the Picky Eaters Plate book that I have, which isn't like that's all of our resources are included in our program. But if you want to purchase them separately, the Picky Eaters Plate is also available on our website to purchase separately. But it's basically it gives you like all of the different nutrients and different ways you can get those nutrients in within a very limited diet. So trust me, nutrition is huge on my like top priority. I do want kids to have great nutrition. It's super, super important for their growing bodies, their brains, etc. But connection is going to have to come first with the food. It can't just be, you have to eat this because it's protein and you will die without the protein. If there is not that safety and connection, you are never going to get them to eat that protein. I'd rather let us take our time building the connection. There might be some other ways we can get in some of these nutrients, but a stressed brain is not going to digest properly or explore. Okay, so we have to have that safety and connection first. So when mealtimes become about joy, family, being together, laughing, smiling, kids' natural curiosity will grow and come out eventually. We have to undo the layers. I talked about this in last week's episode. Undo the layers of the the anxiety and the fear so that their natural curiosity can shine. And it is there. We as humans have an innate drive and curiosity about food, but it's been suppressed by layers of fear and anxiety and negative experiences. So we do have to undo that. So by making mealtimes more about the joy and the connection and the togetherness and their willingness to try will eventually come out as we uncover the root causes, as we make connection and trust a priority, as we shift mindset to the positive. Those are all things that are going to really help propel them to feel safe about being curious and trying these new foods. So to sum up, make sure you go to the pickeaterstest.com, figure out what kind of eater your child is first. All right, before you try some of these strategies. But to sum up, these small changes are going to add up faster than you think. And when these are like foundational types of things, when you start to implement them, you should see their mindset shift. But keep in mind, you also have to take into account, are we addressing everything on the 4 pillars, right? So the people that come to us that get our roadmap, they know when these mindset shifts should start to work because, well, we've just remediated the gut stuff. Well, we've addressed this extreme sensory piece, or, we've teased out some of the things that still might prohibit these strategies from working that I just gave you because there's something else going on. Right. So, for example, if you try all of these and you're not seeing any success, there's still probably a missing puzzle piece to what's holding them back. And that's what we specialize in, just figuring that puzzle piece out, giving you that plan, that vision of where to head next. We don't just teach kids to eat food. We teach families how to shift the entire mindset about food and safety and growth and nutrition. And it's such a fun job. I absolutely love what we do. I'm very passionate about it. It's very purpose driven for me. And it's really all we do. This is our specialty. So if you're curious about your child can move from fearful to like food aficionado adventurer without bribing or battling, definitely check out our program. Start at the pickeaterstest.com first, figure out where your child is at as a baseline. And from there, you will get the next step of where to go next. What is the next logical step for you to take that would help move your child forward, and how we can help with that. Okay. So I hope these 7 tips, sorry, I messed up the numbering a bit, but hopefully these 7 tips are things you can start with immediately right today. They don't require, you to purchase anything. They just require a little bit of patience and time on your part, and making a couple of minutes in the day just to actually implement this. Okay. You can do it. I'm very, very confident in your ability to do this. We've had parents who, you wouldn't think, and they came around and they were able to do it. You can absolutely do it. Everyone has the ability to shift mindset, every parent. So don't let anyone tell you that because you're the parent, it's not going to work. Someone else has to do it. No. Because you're the parent, it is going to work. We just need to shift a few things with mindset. Okay? So we will see you again next week. Have a great week.
Thank you for listening to How to Unpicky Your Picky Eater. To learn more about achieving your child's feeding goals, check out Christine's website at foodologyfeeding.com. And be sure to tune in next time to How to Unpicky Your Picky Eater.